Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and another Monday Mix. Today is the 6th of October. Now I'm going to start off today by saying a big thank you to all the channel members who help to support the channel. If you do want to become a channel member, by the way, it is 99p a month, which you can cancel at any time. But as I've mentioned in the past, anything that does come in from the channel members does go towards the bank fees. I do not and will not buy coins with it. It all goes towards the administration of the bank fees. And as it turns out, I've lost the 1 year discount period that has now finished, so I'll probably be paying full whack now for the fees. So anyway, what we're going to get on to today, well, firstly we'll start off with this, which I've received in the post. This is the way it came through the letterbox. Now I have a funny feeling that change checker staff who were ramming these cardboard things in, putting them in a bit too roughly and causing the envelope to split. Anyway, we've got a change checker card. This is the Monopoly coin I was waiting for. I've already showed you the one I won on the ballot last week, but this is the other one. But as per usual, we've still got these little creases in the top. Now the one I came last week from the ballot didn't have any creases, so I've just put that in the change checker folder. This one I will be sort of taking apart and putting into the Big Daddy Date Run album. So might as well scratch off this, see what we've got today. And oh, well, it pays £2. So last week we got the King James Bible. So this is one of the old style £2 from 1995. So if I can scratch all this off, and then we'll have a read of the specs. And this coin wasn't actually meant for circulation. It was only supposed to be for like collector's issues, but a lot of them did. So I've got this commemorates. The £2 was issued to commemorate 1995, mark 50 years since the end of World War II, done by John Mills. Obviously we've just seen it recently on the VED anniversary 50p coin, but that is another new one for me. I'll put that on to one side. Put that to one side as well. Now the next thing on the agenda is regarding the strike-it ones. My good friends in Wales, Jude and Rob, were down at the Royal Mint last week and they managed to pick up a new strike-it one for me, the strike-it one Monopoly coin. So as you can see here, the design is a lot different. So that one's got Mr. Monopoly on going across the game board, passing go. And I'll just bring in the other one. You can see totally different design, which is rather unusual for a BU, and then a strike your own coin. I've never known that before. So what have we got here? So it tells you on the left here, entered in 1935. I have mentioned in the past it was bought by Waddington's in the UK from a company in America. I can't remember if it was Parker Brothers or Hasbro. I know Parker Brothers and Hasbro changed over at some point. But this design is actually done by Emma Noble, as opposed to Bella Biggs, who did the BU version. So a big thank you to Jude and Rob for that. But as well as that, Jude actually mentioned that while she was there on the tour, the guide did mention that a couple of the hoppers that were actually ongoing in the factory floor were making the 50p salmons for 2025 and also some 2025 £1 B coins. Now we've already had 170,000, which everybody knows about. I wasn't one of these that fell into the trap that was going to be the 170,000, that's it. I knew, had a funny feeling there was going to be more, and as it turns out, we had another 8.84 million put into circulation. So with the ones that Jude mentioned that were getting made, I'm just wondering if that's going to be additional to the 9 million that we've already heard about. Time will tell. But as well as that, picked up a couple of coins from their coin stall bargain bucket. The first one, she reckoned I already had, and Jude was quite correct. This is the 20 Australian cents. The platypus, designed by Stuart Devlin. This was from 1976, but I do already have that one. But this one, this was an absolute beauty. 1958 florin. Again Australian. Got Mary Gillick portrait of Queen Elizabeth on the obverse. Now the difference with this one, it is actually 50% silver. So a lot of the coinage from like threepences, sixpences upwards were 50% silver at the time. I mean, this had a mintage of 8,972,000. It weighs 11.31 grams, so if you're talking about 50% silver, scrap silver price at the minute is about 57 pence per gram, which works out about £3.22. But on New Mister, they reckon anything from fine, £6.50 up to extra fine, £7.80. And I've seen some prices sold on eBay that range from sort of £5 to £9, so it's not a bad coin at all, that, and the detail on that is absolutely fantastic. But, I do have a couple other coins that I've got from Australia that are in the collection. This was from 1957. You can see it's still a little bit torn, but that was a silver threepence. With the Mary Gillick portrait on there, Queen Elizabeth. And this is a sixpence, 1962. Again, Mary Gillick. It's a bit of a shame that it is a bit marked on the obverse. But I thought, while I was going on about that, I thought I'd do a little bit of a background to the Australian currency. So you probably know that Australia did adopt like the British imperial system with the pound, shillings and pence. So there's been several attempts over the years to move to a decimal currency in Australia, which were all decided against. I mean, this started from way back in 1901, so early 20th century. But in 1963, the Decimal Currency Board was created. It was a purpose-built federal organisation, brought together other networks, members of different parties, treasurers, other public servants, to come together to collaborate with plans to include how to structure and to shape the legislation. And therefore the Currency Act of 1963 was created, which actually set a 2-year window. The conversion period was actually completed 6 months ahead of schedule. Now that conversion period would have included having to change petrol pumps over, would have had to include cash registered, gaming machines, other sort of vending machines having to be changed, and also the training of staff in shops, etc., on how to convert their old currency, which was aligned with like the British, the pounds, shillings and pence, to the new decimal currency of the dollars and cents. But before they actually landed on the name dollars and cents, the public were invited to suggest names for the new currency, with some people coming up with some ridiculous names like Australs, Kangas, Boomers, Dinkums and Schooners. Obviously the government overruled these suggestions and instead selected Royals for notes, Crowns, Florins and Shillings for coins, but the public outcry was such that the government actually backed down and instead came up with the sort of worldwide known dollars and cents. Now, cost-wise, the expected budget was going to be set between 60 million and 75 million Australian dollars, but it actually came well under budget at 45 million Australian dollars, so 3/4 of the lower end expected. So in 1964, the government decided to introduce the decimal coinage. They actually started to build a new mint in Canberra. The Melbourne Mint in 1964 started striking all the decimal coinage, but that mint did close down in 1967 after sufficient stockpiles of the new coinage were obtained, and obviously the Canberra Mint by then was up and running quite smoothly. And the Melbourne Mint was officially closed in 1968, and the building itself was demolished in 1972. Now, as well as the Melbourne and the Canberra Mint, obviously Perth Mints and even London Mints helped out to some degree in 1966 to produce the initial coinage. This one here I've got here from 1966 is from the Canberra Mint. Probably the only way you could probably tell is probably different claws on the actual animal. That one is the pygmy gliding possum, and then we've got the Arnold Machem portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse. And you can just say there the date 1966. So Australia were actually using the Arnold Machem portrait of Queen Elizabeth a few years before we did, because in 1968 we had the new 5 pence and 10 pence were actually running alongside the shillings and 2 shillings. That was to help the UK public get ready for our decimalisation day. Now, Australia's decimal day, or they called it C Day, classed as changeover day, was actually the 14th of February 1966, and obviously nearly 5 years to the day later, 15th of February 1971, is when the UK had its own decimal day, which was what we called it D-Day. So that was the 1 cent. There was also the 2 cent as well. That has got the frilled lizard on it. Again, Arnold Machem portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Now that portrait was used up until 1984, and then from 1985 onwards we saw the Raphael McClure portrait. Now this is on 1988 1 cent. With the Raphael McClure. This one is the 2 cents. 1989, again with the Raphael McClure portrait on. Now the Raphael McClure portrait was only used for a few years, as a decision was made in August 1990 to stop producing the 1 and the 2 cent coins. The reason being that the cost of production and the cost of the materials was actually going to be more than what the coin was actually buying. And obviously there was inflation to take into account as well. So any other coins were actually taken out of circulation, they were actually melted down, and the bronze was actually used towards making the bronze medals for the Sydney Games in 2000. In 1981, the Royal Mint at Lantrisant actually helped out in producing some coins, along with the Ottawa Royal Canadian Mint. But from 1985, the coins were produced at Canberra Mint only for circulation. And as I've mentioned, the Melbourne Mint had actually been closed down and demolished. But the Perth Mint still continues today, but they actually issue bullion and proofs only. And although these two are still legal tender, they were actually withdrawn from circulation in February 1992. But you can still use the currency within, I think there's restrictions. I think you can only buy goods up to like 20 cents worth of the 1 and the 2. The prices now are actually rounded to the nearest 5 cents if you're using cash. I'm presuming if you're using like debit cards, etc., would be the exact price you would be paying. Some later year coin sets did actually have 1 and 2 cents coins in them, but they were being classed as NIFC or NSFCs, not stuck for circulation. In 2017 and 2019, they were included in some themed coin sets. The 2019, I think, were something to do with the squiggles, and the 2017, I think, was something to do with the possum. I can't remember the name of the possum. Don't know whether it was Push the Possum or something like that. And just to finish off, the $1 and $2 coins, they came into circulation in 1984 for the $1 and 1988 for the $2. And obviously they sort of replaced the $1 and $2 notes. So that's it for today, folks. A little bit of a history lesson, but thank you for watching, and until the next time, keep on hunting, enjoy yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.